Carl Conrad and welcome to our weekly edition of Australian Immigration News. This show is proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services, the company I founded in the heart of Sydney now more than 25 years ago. It's been a quiet week in relation to changes and migration news in the media, but I did get the chance to talk to the Australian Computer Society about their new migration skill assessment program due to go live in the next couple of weeks. The ACS is the designated skill assessment authority for most of the IT-related occupations on the skilled occupation list. When the ACS started conducting these skill assessments for migration purposes, I was there sending off some of the very first applications to be assessed. Lots has changed over the last 20 years in the ACS assessment process, so it was great to hear how their new system will benefit professionals and individual applicants. Their system could become the new benchmark of how all skill assessment bodies need to modernize to speed up processing times and reflect expectations of a positive customer service experience. I hope the VitaSys and Trade Recognition Australia management teams are watching this program. I caught up with Siobhan O'Sullivan, the Chief Growth Officer at ACS, and we discussed not only how the new system will work, but also gained a unique insight in how the ACS has a role in the new migration strategy and migration policy. The interview is a little long, but I think all of you will find it interesting no matter which occupation you nominate to gain an Australian visa. A big thank you to Siobhan and the ACS for giving us a glimpse into one of Australia's largest migration assessment programs. Hello Siobhan, how are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Did I pronounce that correctly? I wasn't quite sure.
Siobhan.
Siobhan. Okay.
Yeah.
So I hear last week you were having government meetings.
Yeah, we was it last week? Yes, I did have a meeting last week. So we presented at the National Press Club in the evening, but during the day met with representatives from DOHA, DIWA and AAPA. We've been meeting with them over the course of the development of the new platform for 18 months, just to give them an update on not only what we were trying to do, how we were going about it, but then progress updates. So yeah, this was one of the I suppose more frequent kind of messages, but around where we're at, particularly in piloting the new platform, which is coming up in the next week.
So is there still going to be a place for skill assessments in the new strategy?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, more importantly, I think, Carl, is about improving the process for applicants. So when we embarked on this endeavour in November 2022, we interviewed applicants and migration agents to see what their perspectives were on platform design, and that informed directly how we went about building the new platform.
Right. So this sort of the changes came about because of the strategy changes. I know there's a lot of pressure to improve the performance of turnaround times, particularly.
Yeah, I think from our review internally, Carl, it was before obviously any major, I suppose, announcements from the government about migration as a key area of focus. For us, it was about the experience for applicants wasn't what we wanted it to be. The current platform was launched in 2017 and it is very much a fixed kind of form. It's perhaps best described as a PDF form with a group upload. I think particularly tech professionals expect something more modern, something along the I suppose the explanational design principle is very much like an Uber Eats. It's in the kitchen, or orders received, it's in the kitchen, it's on its way, you've now received it, can you give us your feedback? So much better at touch points, much better at informing customers where they're at any particular time, but also where needed, having a portal where if an applicant or an agent is asked to provide more information, it's all very visible and transparent. And then there's just simply like an alert sent to either our team or the applicant or the agent about, hey, you've got a new message, go into the portal. So they log in. That's one of the key differences. But there's been many. I mean, we've got a different way of capturing people's identity verification. I think, having watched a few of your clips on your channel, so there's three real components. We check the identification of an applicant. We check their credentials, their educational credentials, whether they be from a different country of origin or Australia. And then obviously all their work episodes, and there's multiple aspects to that. In the new platform, we'll be partnering with a great solution called IDverse, which captures somebody's passport, their liveness check, so their facial recognition in real time to their passport identity, and also their geolocation mapping. So are they in the location they suggest they are? Now, that's possible because someone could do their application when they're in a different country on a holiday, but at least that will flag to us that there are some aspects there. The good thing with that, from ACS's perspective, we won't be holding on to that critical PII data.
Right, that's good. How do you go about particularly the challenging part where the workplaces no longer exist?
Oh, yeah. Great question. So we do have methods for solving that today. It is around more statutory declarations from either the manager you had at that time, who's obviously also moved on to another location, another workplace, or a colleague perhaps that you worked with, just to validate that you did work at that location. So there are methods to provide, I suppose, relevant documentation. There's still, we would be expecting or optimistic the applicant would share payment evidence. Not always pay slips, particularly if you don't store them, but ideally bank evidence that money has gone into your bank account by a BC employer.
Good. So let's address the elephant in the room, and that's the 50% increase in cost.
Oh, well, I think if you look at it in isolation, there's a view of that. I think what's more important is the provision of service and also the outcome. So what we've evidenced as well, Carl, in our research is that many applicants, particularly in tech, do multiple applications. So in a nursing stream, you're a nurse and you go through nursing and that's what you are. In tech, we have multiple applicants coming back multiple times for multiple different ANSCO codes, up to 3-4 times. And now more recently with us being the assessing authority for data science, we foresee that to grow. In this new program, there's two probably key differences. In addition to the experience and the tech tools, we will be asking applicants to select the skills they use on a day-to-day basis in their job today under the framework of Sophia, which is a skills framework for the information age. It's a tech framework, which you may or may not be familiar with. Once that has been done, the applicant will be shown a range of ANSCO codes that are most suitable to the skills that applicant suggests they use on a frequent basis. We will accept and review in a single application up to 3 ANSCO codes and provide 3 outcome letters on 3 ANSCO codes. So actually, if you were to be an applicant, like we see many today do that, not only will you ideally get that turned around in a much quicker frame time, we'll also have more value than it would cost you to do that exactly today.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And when you say quicker turnaround frame times, what do you expect?
Okay, so you can't hold me this straight away, Carl. We go live after a period of piloting with some migration agent-led pilot. Our design principle is 15 work days, so a sort of 3-week period. That's highly aspirational, and it is a balance between tech and assessing talent, which we have a large range of. In the first initial phase, we're looking to close out applications in 60 days and quickly and rapidly reduce that down where we see opportunity to do so. So our aspiration is 15 days. That's what we're going to try and get to. And my mind tells me with any tech launch, it takes sometimes up to 6 months to create a launch into a BAU, but that's our goal.
Okay, just out of curiosity, how many people work in your section doing skill assessments?
Oh, gosh, it's a really great question, Carl. I'm going to hazard a guess it's close to 50.
50? Wow.
We did 40,000. We assessed 40,000 applications last year.
Yeah, well, that's a big enterprise in its own.
Yeah, it is. And look, again, every assessing authority uses their professional knowledge in their domain area to assess applications. And our assessing team are IT graduates with 5 to 10 years of experience in the IT sector. So really well credentialed, really well qualified, with lived experience in this space to do use their professional judgment when they see these applications come through.
Sure. And if it's not too confidential, are those 50 in Australia or they're outsourced overseas? Or
Oh, no, they're domestically based. Yeah, all in Australia.
Okay, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, no, we are the Australian Computer Society, so we do look always to recruit and promote and develop Australian talent where possible.
Thank you. And with the current system, when does that close off? Can people still make applications with the current one, or how is that working?
Yeah. So we've sent out dedicated communication to those applications that are currently what we would describe as in flight, so not fully completed, and advising them that they would, be highly encouraged to finish those applications by a mid March at this point in time. Every day in a project launching, particularly a tech product, is, there's lots of red or green lights. So the pilot is due to go live next week, but there's many hurdles till we get there, and it may be delayed by days or another week, for instance. So the middle of March is what we're indicating for those applications that are currently in preparation. We continue to communicate with that cohort, and we hope to see those close out. Having said that, though, Carl, if you've applied successfully in the old platform, we will be giving up to a year's worth of breathing space for those applications that may choose to seek a review and or an appeal, which is, providing natural justice to those applications where we see fit. The new platform will be open, so there'll be a transition on the website for any new applications, and we've been doing a lot of communication around the country over the last 18 months, particularly to migration agent and applicants at different events, informing them of this pending change and coming down the pipe. And I've already had a number of people reach out saying, I'm actually holding back, particularly agents, I'm holding back my application, Siobhan, because my applicants want to get access to the 3 ANSCO codes. So we're also looking forward to going live with that. But at this point in time, it looks like we'll be going live in March. But lots of things can still change, particularly with the pilot.
Sure. So at the moment, they can still start a fresh application just like normal.
Absolutely. There's no delay in applications being placed in the old portal or the current portal. Shouldn't call it the old one, but it eventually will be deemed, I suppose, the older one. And we will assess them as we have been doing.
Right. Okay. Now, you mentioned before about, you can just expand a bit more for non-IT people like me.
No, that's okay.
About how does it work when you say choosing, you can choose up to 3 occupations. So they go in and then they get these suggestions, templates of what to choose from?
Yeah, so what we're asking for applicants to do is to go in to the platform and using Sophia to select the type of skills that they use on a day-to-day basis. And in a tech perspective, that's fairly straightforward. So in tech, however, professionals may weave through varying specialisms, such as a developer to a project manager to an ICT manager. And what we've seen come through in previous applications is applications, as soon as they get one ANSCO code, they start the application process again. So we foresee a reduction in total applications, but we foresee much more time on each application to assess them across the multiple ANSCO codes. So the skills that they're selecting are the skills that they would be applying on a day-to-day basis in their role. We also foresee those applications that have traditionally applied selecting an ANSCO code that they're not deemed suitable for. We're not, as an assessing authority, in a position to say, oh, sorry, Carl, you picked this ANSCO code. We suggest you pick this one. The applicant does, or in concert with their agent, need to pick their ANSCO code. So we actually foresee, or assumption is that those applications that have applied and been unsuccessful in previous attempts will actually get at least 1 or 2 or potentially 3 ANSCO codes promoted to them for them to select.
Right. Okay. Well, that seems like a fairer system. And I think in your press release on the website, you've mentioned that you've had a lot of applications come in like incomplete, and that makes your job more difficult.
So this has been one of the first data points I looked at, Carl, was how many what we describe as decision-ready applications we receive. And because of the old or the current form and how fixed it is and how perhaps poor it is for applicants from a non-English speaking background, understanding that process and knowing that straight away, we introduce free monthly applicant and agent webinars to brief applicants on what the documents look like and then provide a Q&A for 45 minutes. And that's been in place for over a year. We were still getting up to 80% of applications that were not decision ready. So what that looks like, particularly if you work on a priority system of first in, you address that application. You might have applications that are sitting in the portal for 3, 4, 5 weeks. We then identify it's not complete, and there are numerous documents across all assessing authorities that we require. Identity documents tend not to be the ones that applicants misunderstand. education documents tend to be fairly straightforward. So your testimony and your transcript, that's fairly straightforward. But work evidence, so for instance, if I was 3 years at ACS in 3 different roles, we would require the job summary of those 3 different roles and payment evidence as your role changed for the salary, to reflect the salary at the front end of your job and at the end of that 8 months or 12 months, whatever it may be. And that's where there was a lot of complication with applicants. And then going back to those applicants, explaining those gaps, waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks for them to provide that documentation. And we're optimistic again that we have solved that challenge, that it's much clearer, perhaps, in the new platform for applicants to understand at what step they're adding which documents and for what purposes. And we'll continue. We have lots of data points to measure whether our assumptions are correct, and we'll continue to prove out and add additional feature sets to the platform if we need to.
So will there be any changes of the assessment criteria or document checklist, or still all the same?
No. The same requirements to the application, whether you be through an agent-led or applicant-led. And we just hope to bring to the market a much better experience, one with better updates, better communication, more transparent, safer when it comes to data capture and particularly PII information of applicants. We're really proud of it. It hasn't gone live yet, but we're really optimistic it'll be well received. And we think as we have put the applicant at the front of this transaction, that's where we're focused, and I think we've achieved a better outcome for applicants, but we'll wait and see. I'm sure we'll get feedback from applications around Australia as we roll out this new platform, and we're willing to take the feedback and listen and to improve as we go.
I guess the biggest feedback we've had on the channel so far is the price increase.
Sure, and I understand that, Carl, and it's a very expensive process for applicants to transition from their country of origin to a new country. We're not at all trying to make that burden any higher. We do feel, though, however, when considered in the package of what we're doing and why we're doing it, that price point is, I suppose, more digestible. The highest transition of pricing is in the skilled application pathway, where we have seen applications with up to 9 work evidences. And in looking at what we try to provide as well as a simple, clean, transparent pricing, there is no additional fast track processing fees, there's no administration fees, there's no your degree was in India or in Brazil, this degree is in Australia. There's different price points, what we have seen across multiple different assessing authorities, which prices things by transaction rather than clear and holistic pricing. And that's hard for us to achieve, because if we've got 9 work evidences, multiple degrees, and 3 ANSCO codes, that's a substantive amount of time to review that individual file.
Sure. In general, we've seen a lot of fast track type of options come into the marketplace with skill assessments. Some not so successful lately, like VitaSess, of course. But
no comment.
No comment. But there is a demand for people who need things done ASAP.
Absolutely. And we've always prioritized them, Carl. We just don't simply charge more money for it. We believe that the price you pay for your application is based on key factors of not only the cost of driving that application through, those applicants that are perhaps aging out or their visa is expiring, we simply put them to the priority list based on evidence of that being the case. Not to disadvantage others, but where others have another week of breathing space, we feel that equally, if it was their visa expiring, they would also be grateful for no additional cost, but for them to be prioritised. And we do that as standard processing. We always have.
Good. So there is provision with the new system for them to say, hey, can you do my...
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll have better data points to identify things such as age as a key data point to show that is, from your passport, and the reporting within the platform will be more enhanced for us to see that without any problem anyway.
The validity period, is it still going to stay 2 years?
Yeah,
we've short on that.
Yeah, so other assessing authorities have 3 years, and again, I'll give the example of nursing. Again, nursing is very fixed and certain. Tech is very dynamic; it changes, and your skills within that sector have to be reviewed, in our opinion, after a 2-year period. Many people move roles every 18 months in tech, so we are looking to hold that 2-year period. But every aspect of our policy and our approach is open for discussion, and we will have better mechanisms once we launch this platform for seeking feedback on those matters. And we have for the last 12 months in going around the country talking to state-based governments and applicants and agents.
Thank you. Now, I think you covered most of the questions I had written down here.
That's okay. That's good.
Thank
you for the invitation as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for accepting it. As you probably know, our viewers have increased a lot over the last couple of years. So we'll get out to your target audience.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
What we're aiming at. So is there anything about the new system you'd like to tell us as well? What we covered today?
Look, I think the things that I'm proud of is that it is designed by applicants and agents. We have included a skills-based view of the applicant, so that informs the ANSCO code. So I think we'll have better success in applicants identifying the ANSCO code that best suits their skill set, so better chance of a suitable outcome, which I think, again, is a plus. We have a better way of communicating with applicants that are also partnering with an agent. And again, this has been a concern of government, that if an agent works on behalf of an applicant, it's not always apparent to the applicant what is being shared with the assessing authority, what communication is being had. Our system will provide that visibility to both the agent and the applicant. Again, really proud of that. I think the security of people's PII, again, super proud of that. Look, I don't want to sit here and extol the virtues of ACS. I'm really keen, to be honest, Carl, in the next 12 months to continue the roadshows we've been doing for 12 months, to continue to listen, look at the data. We've got a number of KPIs we're measuring and we'll continue to measure. If we can get to 15 days, if we can get to good feedback from customers or applicants, that they've been satisfied with the experience, and that if anything, on occasion, it's been a good one, because I know it's a very stressful process. So we can land it well, then my team and I and the development team at ACS will be very proud that we've achieved the development goals we set out for.
Great. Now, what you mentioned about that transparency, so applicants working with an agent, the applicant themselves will have direct access to look at the documents given and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think you will have had experience with things like Airbnb or bookings.com or any of those sort of applications where when you put in messaging, you see all the messaging within the app. That's going to be the same principle with our platform. So the applicant can see everything that's written on their behalf. We won't send emails outside the platform. We'll send a message within the platform, which will trigger an email to the applicant or agent saying you have a new message from ACS.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because major problems we've seen in the past is the applicants don't know what the agent's done.
No, and when it's something so important such as this pathway, that's something that I know older platforms have had limitations, shall we say, not just us but other assessing authorities, and I hear across the industry that many people are investing in their platforms to continue to improve on them, and I think that is a baseline that the government is aspiring for assessing authorities to meet. So once again, we're really pleased that we've got there. And for more importantly, we're keen to understand what is the experience of the applicant post their interaction with ACS. How do we ensure good employment outcomes? Because particularly in our space, there's a huge delta of tech skills in Australia. This is the biggest channel to achieve that great talent coming across our country into the right roles. We've got to shorten the time. The survey that we've just run, the report, Carl, as a preemptive point, shows it takes up to 12 months for skilled migrants to secure that ideal role for them. And for me, that time to value needs to dramatically reduce.
Talking about ANSCO codes, is there, it seems to be in IT in particular, there's such a, the current ANSCO system is so restrictive and out of date. How is the government going to address that, do you know?
Yeah, so the work that I think the Jobs and Skills Australia and Jobs and Skills Commission are working on, particularly through the Future Skills Organisation when it comes to tech, is really impressive, to be honest. They're really trying, I think, forgive me if I've misquoted, but I think the Tech Council described the current work or the current approach through the ABS, which is obviously every 4 years, looking at our skills requirements in a rear vision mirror. And I think I'd have to support that perspective, and probably so would ABS. So the structuring or the creation of the Jobs and Skills Commission, I think, just over a year and 5 months, 4 months, whatever it's been, are starting to really hone in on in each sector what are the skills needed to do the jobs when we need them. I think that that's a really important piece of work. We work closely with them. We'll continue to work closely with them, providing support to their surveys and also insights from our customers and corporate relationships. We need to be better at not only what we need, what's been advertised for today, which Lightcast data shows us, but also what organizations think they'll be recruiting for in the future 12 months, and be much more responsive to that. Okay. So again, a slight plug here, Carl, but ACS produces a report every year with Deloitte Access Economics, the Digital Pulse, and last year demonstrated that industry in Australia lost 3.1 billion in 2022 by simply not having the right digital skills, tech skills in the right roles at the right time. And that's only forecast to get worse. So we need to solve this problem.
So, I mean, we've been waiting so long to see a change in this occupation list. Do you have any idea when that's going to happen? We
don't have any visibility of where the hard yards will deliver benefit, but it does take a number of years to get all this set up and the analysis done. I know Patrick Kidd, the CEO of FSO, is a very industrious and committed individual, and I look forward to seeing what they identify, and I'm optimistic it will give us a better outcome than what we've traditionally had.
Let's hope so. And in relation to, there's a lot of IT professionals watching, of course, very sparse on the ground invitations this year for IT professionals. It's very dry.
Yes. So I think, particularly when you compare it to last year, that's where the contrast is significantly felt. And again, that's, the government invitation. So we do watch and monitor that, and we need to be accepting of those numbers. But yes, there is a big difference, and we're also seeing that as well.
Okay, Siobhan, so really appreciate your time today. I think we'll be playing most of this content as it is. So please have a watch this weekend.
Okay, thank you so much, Carl. Great to be on your show.
And I look forward to reading that report.
Okay, I'll send that through.
Great. Appreciate it. All right, take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Again, we thank Siobhan and the ACS for giving us their insights into their organization. If you found this interesting, let us know, and we may approach other skill assessment authorities to see if they wish to share how they operate as well. The ACS is also conducting some interesting research into how IT professionals have settled into regional Australia, and we look forward to chatting to them about those results in the near future. Remember, if you need help, we are always here. Book a consultation time by visiting our website, or if you need an urgent appointment, just call the office and chat to two lovely real people, Pat or Hay. We will be back with our usual routine of news updates next week. Until then, as always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.